I'm going through this change, and it's literally, I'm the same person, but there's still so much change happening in the way that I look at people. So like I said, not living standards and stuff like that, but I noticed that I stopped judging people about the weirdest things, modesty, right? I wasn't even dressing super modestly, but I used to hyperfixate on it. I would walk down the street, no, shirt's too short, or, you know, like just looking at things. Now I don't even pay attention. It's not even in my radar. Of like those types of things, language too. I'm not noticing when people are using like cussing or things like that. I just noticed that I wasn't judging as much because I wasn't hyper fixating on it. So I'm going through all these changes, and I'm ready to start dating again and setting Tinder. And I'm just like, I'm going to put it to men and women. And I didn't tell anybody. I just put it to both. And
did you notice attractions to...
I can't say then if like looking now, I can see things that were like, yeah, I was, but then not in that moment. I don't know why. I was just like, why not? Because everything doesn't matter anymore. So I said it to men and women, but I only really go on dates with guys for a while because I was just too scared, and I didn't really know. Didn't know what it was like to date women and stuff. But then I like really start to think about it and question it, my sexuality, and I YouTube, and I start Googling things. And one of the funniest things that I saw when trying to figure this out, I YouTubed just like how to know if you're bisexual or something. And I click on a YouTube video, and the guy is like, I'm going to count down like 10 reasons of like, you know, why you may be bisexual or bi-curious or something like that. And he starts number 1 with the fact that you YouTubed this. Straight people don't YouTube. Are you bisexual? So I just thought that was really funny. But
I never have.
I never have. I was about to say.
I've taken a quiz.
On like BuzzFeed.
I guess that makes me 1%.
1%. So yeah, I thought that was really fun. I was like, yeah, that's probably a good point. So then I just really start to think of it. So now I'm thinking, okay, there's a difference with learning the terminology with things. There's a difference between bi-curiosity and bisexuality. Bi-curiosity is just wanting to see, you're not sure. Bisexuality is being, I'm attracted to both genders. I could see myself with, you know, both genders. So really start going into that and seeing. So I start going on, finally getting up the courage, because dating women is a total different world than dating guys. So finally get the courage to go on dates and realizing like, yeah, I could absolutely, in the same way that I could date and talk about my day and have a connection with a person on all levels that you're supposed to in a relationship, sexually, communicatively, just everything. I can have that with a woman. And it was like, whoa, because I was like, there's no way. How have I gone this far in my life and not realized it? And I just have come to the conclusion that it was internalized homophobia because of the church, that I didn't even allow myself to think about if that was a possibility. Because I look back at things, and my middle school best friend is also bisexual now. We used to give each other massages with our shirts off on the ground, like laying down. And no, what other 13-year-old girls were like doing that?
Like, yeah,
that wasn't normal. So like I look back.
I mean that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. I look back on things that I'm like, yeah, I should have known. And we joke about it all the time, me and my friend, because I would get jealous when she would get closer to other girls and stuff. And they were just friendships. Everything was just friendships. But I was like, that's my friend. Like, that's my best friend. So we joke that we were essentially like in a relationship, but we didn't even know that we were in a relationship.
You were very territorial of each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And she even said she was the same way with me. And both of us, this is a term that you hear a lot with bisexual or lesbian women who figure it out later in life, is it, do I want to be her or do I want to be with her? That is like a huge question of like, wow, you're just admiring her and she's so pretty and all these things. And it's like, wait, do I just want her hair or do I just want, or no, I actually want to date her.
Do I want to run my fingers through her hair?
Yes, exactly. So that was a huge, obviously, thing to uncover. I don't even know what to label that as. That was pretty shocking. That settled in for a while, felt confident with it, and I felt fine with it. I'm not ashamed of it. I'll talk about it. And I realized that I have a point of, even within the LGBT community, which is obviously judged and people do not agree with, even within that community, I have it the easiest. I'm a bisexual woman. Transgender people, it is the absolute hardest. Gay men and lesbian women, they have to constantly deal with that. I, as a bisexual woman, yes, it's annoying that we're sexualized in media and by men and things like that, but annoyance is a lot better than being beaten. Mm-hmm. And I just realized, like, that I had no problems with me being bisexual. And like I said, being able to be open and talk about it, but then realizing my privilege because of that, because I'm a woman who's bisexual. Even men who are bisexual get ridiculed way, way more. So I think I have it the easiest.
And experience violence.
Yes, literally, very, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so
transgender,
then,
when I was
Women of
learning
color.
about this, wow.
yeah, especially, yeah. So
Very high death rates, murder rates.
yeah, very bad. So I started to just reflect on that because I was thinking like, oh, I'm like prideful. I don't have to deal with anything. And then I like reflect on, well, wow, I'm so glad that I figured out this faith transition before that, because I can't imagine knowing that I'm gay, lesbian, transgender, or even bisexual, and being in the church at like 8 years old or 9 or 10 and figuring that out. It just broke me. It just made me so sad to think. And then I thought of your brother and like so many people that I'm so fortunate that I'm on my own, have supportive people in my life, that she's come to a point now that I can talk to my parents about it and everything. But the circumstances could be so different. And it is so different for so many people, and not just LDS people. There's so many people in other religions that do not agree with, LGBT community. And it just made me so sick to think about all the people that have been kicked out of their homes and children and things like that. And the rate in Utah is so much higher than it is in the rest of the country. It's like double what the rest of the country, like if a parent or an adult finds out that their kid is in the community, it's like a 20% or something like that. I don't want to give exact numbers.
In Utah, should we brainstorm why? Right. Talk about that?
Seriously.
Yeah,
so,
it's terrible.
yeah, it's like double. It's like 40% in Utah. And it just baffles me that a religion that teaches acceptance and love, that there's exceptions. That's how I think of it. It's because it's not what they want it to be. And just like all those stereotypes like you said originally with your brother, that it's a choice and it's all of these things that it just breaks my heart. I don't know.
Trust me.
Yeah.
I have cried many tears.
Yeah. So when Kelly was going through her deconstruction and kind of figuring out what she was believing with the church when trying to understand us, I finally felt comfortable to tell her. And if I didn't
she
know,
really didn't know what I was going through emotionally. She just sensed a change in me.
I could tell in our conversations that for some reason that she was more accepting,
more genuine.
Yeah,
like you just like I genuinely cared about you.
It wasn't.
There
fake.
was this shift that I wasn't trying so hard to care about Kayla.
Yeah. You know? So then I finally felt comfortable telling her.
Yeah.
How recent was this?
This was,
I want to say September of last year. Because you told me a long time, and I didn't tell anyone, not even Dad.
Fall last year.
Yeah, fall of last year.
6 months until you came out, and then I ran in the house and was like,
Dad.
Sean, I need to talk to you.
Yeah, see, and this just shows you the timeline still. This shows
Your
you.
dad's bishop by this
Yes.
point.
Yes, and I'm like, I gotta intercept this before he finds out. So board member.
So this is the segment
Yes.
coming out to your dad, Mormon bishop dad, as bisexual.
So this is where I did not handle this well.
And it's okay.
Yeah, once again, this timeline, it's so short. This is still happening right now that I still don't feel comfortable enough to come out to him. I don't care that he knows, but I couldn't even think about how that conversation would go. I didn't know how. I don't know. It just felt like it wouldn't. I don't know what he would say. And unfortunately, like I said, at this point, my separation of caring of what people think, and especially my parents, is gone. His approval, his everything. So I didn't feel the need to tell him. And now I kind of regret that. I wish I would have had a conversation with him to tell him. But like I said, I'm just at a point now where it's just, I don't care. If he knows, he knows, and everything. So I came out publicly on my social media
First.
So I had told Kelly, and I came out on social media first before ever talking to my dad, because I just didn't, literally, I guess the best words I can say is I didn't feel the need, because with all of those events that had happened, I've already been this disappointment. I've already why I don't need his approval. Like in my head, that's kind of what it was. And it makes me sad because a lot of the times I contribute that to the church. I think that we would have a much better relationship if it wasn't for the church. And that breaks my heart because I know that he loves me. I know that. But it's just so frustrating that this isn't even that long ago. It's within the past 6 months that I didn't feel comfortable coming out to him personally. I didn't care that he found out through other channels, through Kelly or, other people, but I didn't want to tell him myself.
It's true.
What were you, so you sounds like you held it in for a long time. Worst case scenario, what was the worst case scenario in your head? And then how did it actually go?
Like with him?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't even think he's said anything about it to you, has he?
we haven't even had a conversation to this day about it. Like he just acts,
wow.
I've seen him and we interact, and every time I see him, he just called me actually to congratulate me about something.
He's been being educated because I forced
Yes.
my education on him.
Yeah. So
Should probably loop back to your story in a second.
yeah.
I exercise undue influence over my husband. So
Yeah.
mature. We already established I'm super mature, right?
Yeah.
No, we're liking you more
I'm the
now.
epitome of
Yeah.
Kelly,
maturity.
we're liking you more
Kara's
now.
like, oh my gosh, this girl. Oh my gosh,
It's just
I
so
will
funny
not
that
read
you're
the
like,
comments.
the church taught me undue influence, and now I'm going to use that to my benefit.
Oh, I totally did.